We are just 3 days away from Star Wars Jedi Survivor. So today I'm going to go a little bit deeper into the Star Wars universe and share some lore and some stories that I think may be relevant when you're playing the game. My name is James, and I started this channel simply because I love video games. If that sounds like you, please consider sticking around. The biggest way that you can help my channel right now is by simply watching the video, which you're already doing, and then just subscribing so that you can continue to watch my videos in the future. Let's get started. I'm going to assume that you're already familiar with the story of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which if you're not, you can click right over here and check out the recap that I did of the game. Definitely go ahead and check that out if you haven't yet. The first relevant item that I want to bring up is this book, Star Wars Jedi Battle Scars, which is set between the two Star Wars Jedi games, follows Cal, Seer, Grease, Marin, and BD-1 as they take on the Haxian Brood and are contacted by a stormtrooper that says that they want to get out of the Empire, and then a story kind of unravels. I haven't read the whole book yet. I'm trying to read it before the game comes out this Thursday, but we're getting a little bit into a time crunch now. But I've enjoyed it so far. It's definitely set maybe like a year or two after the events of Fallen Order. You can tell that Marin is a bit closer to the rest of the team at this point, and that they have a good good rapport and a good amount of like witty banter going on amongst them, that you can tell that they're all pretty comfortable as a team. I do think it's set maybe a year or so before the events of Jedi Survivor. In the trailers for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, it looks like Cal is reuniting with Grease and Seer and Marin for the first time in a while. So it's possible that that's addressed in this book, what happened that made them kind of like split up a little bit. But it's also possible that that's not addressed in this book. I do know that in the book, the Ninth Sister comes back. The Ninth Sister was in the first game. And then we're also introduced to Fifth Brother. And I think, as a lot of times that we've seen the Inquisitors kind of going out in pairs of two, we saw Ninth Sister paired up with Second Sister in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So maybe Ninth Sister and Fifth Brother are paired up in this game. But I don't know. That's really just more like speculation on my part. The second chunk of stuff that I wanted to bring up is the 2017 run of Darth Vader comics. These comics take place pretty much immediately after Star Wars Episode 3, so about 10 years before the events of Star Wars Jedi Survivor. But the reason that I think these are going to be significant is these comics did, at least for me, did a pretty big job of explaining who Darth Vader is and what he's all about in the 20 years between Episode 3 and Episode 4, and we get to see some really cool Darth Vader. We got to see Darth Vader right at the end of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, so I think it's reasonable to think that he's probably going to show up again. 2017 Vader comics also introduce the Inquisitors, gives a lot of cool backstory about them and some like side stories and stuff as well. If you find the Inquisitors interesting, I would definitely say go check out those comics. The next thing that I wanted to bring up was the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order comic. I believe this follows the adventures of Seer as Eno Cordova's apprentice. If you remember, Eno Cordova was the Jedi Master who was leaving breadcrumbs for you in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order that kind of took you all over the galaxy to find the holocron, and then Seer essentially plays the role of Cal's master. From the trailers, it does look like Seer has kind of picked back up her Jedi ways. I think she's completely bald, and she looks almost like a monk in a way. Similar to how the first game was kind of set in motion by her recalling teachings from Eno Cordova, I wouldn't be surprised if something similar happens here. And so the last thing that I want to do in this video is just kind of briefly talk about some of the stuff that's going on in the Star Wars universe around the time period of this game. We already know that we have Vader kind of running the galaxy. He's head of the Inquisitors. He's almost head of the Empire, right behind the Emperor. And I want to see more Darth Vader in this game, but I want to see him more I want to see him in the same capacity that we saw him in the first game. I don't want so Cal Kestis is not as powerful as Darth Vader. There's no question there. So I don't want there to be a fight in the game where you fight Vader, because I feel like that lessens Darth Vader as a character. In the first game, I feel like they really nailed it. He almost had like a Mr. X or like an undefeatable boss atmosphere, which made him much like scarier in a way. The Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show and Star Wars Jedi Survivor are both set 10 years after Order 66. There could be a little bit of connective tissue there, because we saw fifth brother and third sister paired up in the Obi-Wan show. We know fifth brother is in the book Star Wars Jedi Battle Scars, so he may also be in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. So he was hunting Obi-Wan. We know he's going to be in this game. Maybe he makes an appearance there too. I don't really know. What else we got? So Solo is a year before Star Wars Jedi Survivor, so we could get some stuff there. Maybe some more just like General Empire stuff. I would be surprised if Cal has a run-in with Han Solo, or at least like a significant one. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was a run-in with Lando, or a run-in with, I don't know, Leia or anything like that. No, Leia would be a child. She would be 9 years old. So it wouldn't make sense for Leia to be in there unless we're going to be saving her again, like they just did in Obi-Wan. And so with Solo, we know that this is also the reign. This is the time period of when the Crimson Dawn crime syndicate was really popular too. If you've seen Solo, you might know a little bit about them. I believe we learn a little bit about them in Star Wars Rebels as well, if you've seen that show. But the important thing is that Darth Maul is the secret head of Crimson Dawn, and it would be really cool, I think, to get a face-off between Darth Maul and Cal Kestis. If they were able to kind of introduce him as like a villain or like a sub-villain, I think that would be pretty cool, especially since we know that Cal Kestis and we know that Cal and the group already kind of butt heads with some of the crime syndicates, because in the first game we saw them fighting the Haxian Brood, which the Haxian Brood was after Grease, and it was a whole thing. But you spent a lot of that game fighting the Haxian Brood bounty hunters, and then in the book, we once again see them taking on some more of the Haxian Brood. All right, the last big thing that I could think of as far as what's going on in the Star Wars universe is the construction of the Death Star, and where it looks like the narrative that they're building with the Death Star is that literally the entire galaxy was contributing to the construction of this thing, and nobody questioned it because they were all making money off of it, or nobody questioned it because they didn't think this would be a giant ball of death and destruction. But I find that kind of stuff really cool too. That's pretty much all I got for this video. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out my Fallen Order recap video if you haven't checked out that one yet as well. Last but not least, make sure to check it back in with me Friday morning for my first impressions of Star Wars Jedi Survivor. As always, the best way to keep up with me is on Twitter and on Instagram at James_Solar. Thanks, guys.